Shalom Israel. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, the Bawanas to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the like men out there doing this work of faith and labor of love, truth, and sincerity. I just wanted to touch on a quick topic in reference to a statement that Apostle Gabar had made in his latest video in reference, paraphrasing when he said that as us being young brothers, we're in this truth, what for our strength, not for our wisdom, and the scripture automatically came to mind, and also the brother from Baltimore, that sit down channel, I believe, JMS Defenders of Truth. He did a nice lesson on in reference to that as well. So I just pretty much wanted to add on to the spirit, just briefly, with a couple scriptures. All right. So Lord willing, this short topic be edifying. All right. So this is Proverbs 20 and 29. The glory of young men is their strength, and the beauty of old men is the gray head. Right. And the glory of us younger brothers, what is our strength? Of us being able-bodied young warriors for Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. Now, in the midst of knowing that, we have a lot of vigor, about ourselves. We're real enthusiastic about the word, brothers down to get down for whatever knowledge, constantly seeking and things of that nature. But in the midst of, this journey for this knowledge, understanding, and wisdom of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, we have to always be mindful to not let that strength that we possess to blind us. And that can be easily done, by seeking out the knowledge, and not paying attention to the things that are most important. And some of the things that are most important is, first and foremost, building up yourself and staying humble, man. You have to constantly remind yourself of these things. We have to constantly remind ourselves of these things, to stay in our place and to not get ahead of ourselves, because those demons are always lurking, and as the time goes on, it's only going to get worse. And, as brothers, we don't want to get caught out there and be made an example out of and be out there looking foolish like another nigga that just came up against, the apostles and elders, the men that taught us, So in that vigor and that love, that exuberance that we have for this truth, we always have to be mindful of that, man. Not to let it blind us, man. Because at the end of the day, we just are young men, man. We fresh babes in this thing, man. So it says, the glory of young men is their strength, and the beauty of the old men is the gray head. So, right, when it means what the beauty of old men is the gray head. Now, the beauty of an older man, what we know should be what his wisdom. Okay, but just because someone is older, as a brother from Baltimore said, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have wisdom. And we have examples of that when you look at what Nate Satan and people like General Yohana. They're older guys, but obviously they don't have that wisdom, because Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua isn't dealing with them on that level. But when we think of the beauty of older men in that wisdom, which represents that gray head, we think of our apostles and our elders of Great Millstone, man. That's what's automatically come to mind. Because us being younger in its truth, we haven't been thoroughly tried and tested by wisdom. Now, brothers may have a form of wisdom, but we're still in a process of gaining wisdom, man. You know, and we have a lot of growing to do, in which Babylon is about to be destroyed. So there's no way in hell that we can get to a level of great wisdom as the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, man. So within our strength, just know that our strength, we possess more strength by staying in our lane and being humble and just having an attentive ear, you know, as it says. And I'm gonna grab this other scripture real quick that just came to mind. All right, and Salakia. All right, this is Sirach, chapter 6, verse, I believe it's around like verse 32. Oh damn, Salakia. Here it is. Sirach 6:32. My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught, and if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent. If thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding, and if thou bow thy ear, thou shalt be wise. Stand in the multitude of elders, with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and cleave unto him that is wise. Okay? Because what? They're older men in the spirit that know the ways of the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and they've been tried through the fire and tested by wisdom, man. You know? Okay? Be willing to hear every godly discourse, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee. And if thou seest a man of understanding, get thee betimes unto him, and let thy foot wear the steps of his door. Right? And that's why, you know, we supposed to always be attentive to the things that the apostles and the elders are bringing out. Constantly watching, you know, their weekly sit downs. Constantly watching, you know, their personal shows on their own channels, man. You know, because they are those men of understanding. They are those men of wisdom, set up by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai for the elect of Israel, man. You know, but as younger brothers, we haven't been tried by that wisdom. We are being tried, but we haven't been tried and tested as they have, man. You know, so this last precept I want to pull out. All right, this is Sirach 4 and I start at 16. If a man commit himself unto her, this is in reference to wisdom, he shall inherit her. Okay, and his generation shall hold her in possession. For at first she will walk with him by crooked ways, and bring fear and dread upon him, and torment him with her discipline, until she may trust his soul and try him by her laws. So this is the process of what we're going through. We're being tried and tested by the laws of wisdom. Okay? We're being fear is being brought upon us, dread is being brought upon us, torment is being brought upon us by the discipline from wisdom, man. And what discipline? We know what the word, where we get the word what disciples from, because we have to, in order to have wisdom, you have to be disciplined. But what the apostles, what they are apostles, man, and we are the disciples. They have that discipline. We're trying to gain that discipline, man. So it's two different cycles, man. Two different things, man. All right. Verse 18, it says, then will she return straightway unto him, and comfort him, and show him her secrets. So after wisdom has thoroughly walked with you by those crooked ways, you know, that's those ups and downs, those roller coasters that we go through within this truth, and you have been thoroughly tried and tested, you know, then that's when you obtain that wisdom. And that takes many, many years of studying, many, many years of experience through the Spirit, which we don't have enough time here in Babylon to truly gain. That's why we need to sit still, be humble, stick to the script, and pay attention, man, to the spirit and the apostles and elders, man. It's plain and simple, man. The Most High couldn't have laid it out for us any better than this, man. You know? So with that, we just gotta constantly try our best, to stay in our lane and just to do what we gotta do, man. To seal up our salvation. That's all this thing is about, man. To seal up salvation for ourselves, man. Through the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua and hope that we're members of the elect, man, So with that, I just hope this short segment was edifying. And I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shalom to Lekman out there, doing this work of faith and labor of love and true sincerity. Shalom and death to America.